Greetings, vinyl fans. It is Greg at the Vinyl Rundown, back at you with another semi-mediocre video because I've bought some records that were just kind of so-so lately because, as you know, I'm a bargain hunter, and when I hunt bargains, I end up with stuff that's of questionable value, but that's what I do. So let me come at you with what I've picked up recently, and I haven't made a lot of videos lately, as you've noticed, and none of you seem to be upset by that fact, so that's okay. Let's see. I'm going to start with a really strong record because, of course, my son is a burgeoning record collector and has better taste than me, at least in the area of the newer records. This is The Who Sells Out, and it is a 2-record set. It's got these great pictures of The Who doing these funny parodies of commercials. You've got Roger Daltrey with the baked beans and not Townsend. That's Pete Townsend with the giant deodorant. There was a sale at one of these online record places a couple weeks ago. It was like a couple of dozen titles on sale for free, just pay the shipping. And so my son picked that up for like $10. So good for him as a new record collector. My son also hit a local record store here earlier this week. What was that? Atomic Records out in Burbank, California, and he came back with the Beatles 6, 1965. This is that era of the Beatles, the really early stuff that I'm personally not a big fan of because there's a lot of sort of rock and roll, Chuck Berry, cover tunes on here. But it does have 8 Days a Week, which is a wonderful song, and other songs. But, my son doing a great job in his 20s of building his record collection. So there you go. And also, let's see. He also picked up a rather strange record, Hurdy-Gurdy Man by Donovan. Now this is, I think, 1968. Hurdy-Gurdy Man is one of the weirder tunes that Donovan has done. And it's he was influenced by going over to India with George Harrison and all those people in the late 60s and getting into India culture and spirituality and meditation. And this record shows some of that influence, the sort of weird Eastern sounds of Hurdy-Gurdy Man and some of the drone techniques that he used on here. Funny bit of trivia that George Harrison actually co-wrote the song Hurdy-Gurdy Man, at least the lyrics. And George Harrison's verse did not make it onto the record because it was considered too long. But that is interesting that this record is considered a bit of a collab with the great George Harrison. Also, possibly, Jimmy Page may have played some guitar on here when he was more of a studio guy rather than a big rock and roll star. Donovan, Hurdy-Gurdy Man, weird tune. And, the Butthole Surfers made a great version of Hurdy-Gurdy Man later, for those of you that are connoisseurs. Okay, I'm going to get into some CDs and tell you where they came from. But first, I meant to start the video with this because my friends at Resonance Records sent me this as a review copy. Do you guys know Resonance Records? Zev Feldman has done a lot of his releases on Zev Feldman. What did I just say? Zev Feldman has done a lot of his releases on Resonance Records, the archival stuff. But George Claben, who founded the label, this is more of his project. I don't think Zev had anything to do with it. Ivan Lins, not Ivan Lins, I think it's Ivan Lins, is a Brazilian singer, songwriter, composer. And Ivan Lins is sort of in that vein of the old Gets Gilberto album and the Jobim stuff. Ivan is sort of the successor to that style of music. I listened to it online. It's not open, so you could see the hype sticker. So I left it unopened, but I did listen to it on Apple Tunes. It's very lush. There's a full orchestra behind it, by the way. So that music is sort of mellow and soft and great to just open up a bottle of wine or having a little cocktail party. But this is even more lush because it's got the strings and he's got some guest female singers. So it is a collection of Portuguese and or English tunes written by mostly Yvonne, the great Yvonne Linz, and then there's some ladies on here. Diane Reeves, Jane Monheit, Randy Brecker on trumpet. So Yvonne Linz, My Heart Speaks, coming out in probably a couple of weeks. It says right here, Lush, Brazilian legend with a lush symphony orchestra. Very mellow. Okay, now we're getting to the heart of the matter, which is I did the bad thing that I do a lot, which is I go to sales and I buy stuff that I shouldn't buy because I love bargains. So the records you see before you there are, a lot of them are bargains for $1 or $2 at the Goodwill. And even some of my best jazz records are for, $2 or $3 because I bought a lot of them when LPs were falling out of favor and CDs were taking over the world, late 80s, early 90s. Well, now we're in the opposite scenario. LPs have taken over the world again, and CDs have become dirt cheap, and that's why I have too many CDs. And I got all these at a sale the other day. One of our thrift shops here did a $1 sale. They're usually, I don't know if they're $5 or $3, but $1 is a bargain. And I got a bunch of CDs, and some of them are okay, and some of them aren't. Here's a jazz one, Gary Burton. You can't even see the terrible 90s style writing. Gary Burton and Friends Departure. Gary Burton, the great jazz vibes player, was very big on ECM back in the day. But there's some amazing players on here, which is kind of why I picked it up also. Peter Erskine, the drummer from Weather Report. John Scofield, one of my all-time favorite guitar players who played with Miles Davis. And John Patitucci on bass, who played a lot with Chick Corea. Fred Hirsch is a really good piano player. But this is kind of just very mellow, cocktail party-ish, old standards. This is not like really hard-hitting, in-your-face jazz. This is very mellow. Okay, it was $1, okay? But tunes like If I Rebel that Miles Davis did, and, Tossed Salad and Scrambled Eggs, the Frasier theme song. Kind of funny. It's all right, but it's one of the better discs of this pile. Now to get to the not-so-good discs. I like weird composers, avant-garde, unknown artists, and I'm willing to try things, experiments for cheap especially. So a couple of American composers that none of you have heard of. Lou Harrison and Alan Hovhaness. Lou Harrison is on both of these records, or his compositions. And then Keith Jarrett, like the greatest pianist ever lately, is on both of these. But both of these are kind of disappointing discs. We've got Lou Harris doing 7 pastorals. There's a Terry Riley piece on here, who's very cool. And unknown label I never heard of, Music Matters Classics. And then the Elegiac Symphony by Lou Harrison and Mysterious Mountain Something Music by Alan Hovhaness. Both of these are a little bit disappointing. I like a very sort of mellow version of like maybe Aaron Copland or something, but with even less interestingness. So, anybody want to trade for these? I end up getting a lot of my discs, sending them to DJ Trish, or trading them in and giving to the library. Who knows what will happen to them? Okay, then I found something this is the highlight of the pile of discs. The 7 discs for $7 pile. ECM Records, beautiful cover art, black and white photography like you'd expect from ECM Records. That Kim Kardashian, no, it's Kim Kashishyan, no relation to Kim Kardashian. Kim Kashishyan is kind of the biggest viola player of the last several decades, and she's done a lot of stuff with ECM. And here's a piece by Alfred Schnittke, who's a composer that I like a lot. Concert for Viola and Orchestra, or Concerto. And then some other composer whose name I can't even begin to pronounce. I think it's German. Let's not even go there, okay? But this is sort of the best disc of the 3. Kim Kashishyan. When did this come out, Greg? 1992, a long time ago. How long ago is that? Is that 30 years? Gee, many Christmas. It's like new. the ECM New Series, which they feature a lot of new composers. So there's a good record. Okay. Now when I'm shopping at these CD sales and thrift stores and stuff, you're spending a lot of time doing this and looking at stuff on the side, and you got to go really fast. You know, they got thousands of discs, and you're just kind of, you know, trying to see what's going on. You got to bend over, get really low, hurts my back, my legs. But I saw this. I saw Roots and Stablemate. No idea what that is. It's not The Roots. So I grabbed it, and what did I see? I saw an amazing word or two. Sam Rivers. Wow. Love him. Chico Freeman. Wow. I grabbed that. Okay, this is cool. Sam Rivers, Chico Freeman, two sax players, Arthur Blythe, another sax player, Idris Muhammad, who's a drummer who's played with Pharoah Sanders. This has got to be some awesome, killer, free avant-garde jazz for $1. I'm so lucky. It's on the label called In and Out Records, recorded in Germany. Back in the, probably a long time ago, 93. All these records are from 80s, 90s. Long time ago, these 7 CDs. Okay, Roots, Stablemates. Well, I should have known better. I'm disappointed once again. The word Roots should have tipped me off that this is more traditional music. It's not like new avant-garde, cool, freaky. Okay, Stolen Moments by Oliver Nelson, one of the great compositions of jazz. You know, it's got some old standards on here. And then by song 4, it comes to Night Train, which to me is a very kind of corny big band era tune. I used to play in the big band a long time ago when I was in school. Okay, Night Train. Okay, so at that point I took off the record and I said, this is disappointing. There's some good soloing on here, but this is not a European free jazz freak out that I was hoping for. So Roots, Stablemates. More than you needed to hear, probably. And then I'm trying to get into African music and world music, and I saw this for $1. 3 records, music from 19 countries, Africa in America. Well, the 19 countries are not African countries. The 19 countries are America, as in North America and the Caribbean. So it's like Cuba, Haiti, Honduras. African style music, I guess, played by people in North America. And it's really kind of like an ethno music folk record. Kind of disappointing because it is not as African as I was hoping. But here's the 3-disc set for $1. Anybody into that sort of thing? I don't know. You want to trade it? And then another musician that I like a lot, Terrence Blanchard. He just played at the Hollywood Bowl at the Wayne Shorter memorial thing that was like 2 weeks ago, which I didn't get to go to. But Terrence Blanchard, Jazz in Film, and I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be a bunch of really cool film noir, moody jazz. And I mean, it's okay. It's not as good as Joe Henderson plays on here. Okay, if you saw a record in a thrift store with Joe Henderson and Terrence Blanchard for $1, okay, you'd get it, wouldn't you? Well, I did. It's okay. It's maybe I'll give it another listen, but you know, it's all right. It's got the circle thingy, so that means that somebody was disappointed by its success. But okay, the tunes from Taxi Driver, Man with the Golden Arm, Clockers, Streetcar Named Desire, Chinatown. Good films for the most part. I haven't given this a fair shot. I've listened to a little bit of it. Okay, so there's my disappointing 7 discs for $7 from, there's more. Just hold on, there's more. But wrapping up that section of the video. Wait, hold on. Shoot. Okay. Just moving things around here. Just chill. Yeah. I always go for these sales, and I think, oh, I'm only spending $7, but then I do that 3 times in a row, and that's almost $30. I could have bought a nice new record for that. So that's one of my problems with hoarding, and it may be part of the Jewish culture. Hey, this is a bargain. I'm buying this for less than the retail value. I got to buy it. Even if I don't want it, it's a bargain. And then you end up giving it away to the library. So that's one of my many faults. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with my long list of flaws and faults. And by the same token, I was at another sale, another thrift store sale that had everything half off which means vinyl was $1 instead of $2. And I ended up with 3 records, but they're all classical. And you guys don't like classical, do you? Well, just listen, okay? Just chill. Whenever you see this, the yellow, you know that's Deutsche Grammophon, one of the most respected classical labels in the planet. Mozart's 41st Symphony, the Jupiter Symphony, a major Mozart piece of work, but I'm not sure the performance is that great. It seemed kind of plodding and slow and not energetic. This is a larger orchestra than Mozart wrote his music for. Mozart wrote his music for a more, an older, earlier, I should say, 1700s orchestra that was smaller and more nimble. So when he's played by larger orchestras, sometimes it doesn't come off that great. And then we have, these are all classic pieces of music. These are all masterpieces, by the way. Mozart's 41st Symphony, that's considered a major work. So is this, Beethoven's 4th Piano Concerto by Claudio Arrau and Bernard Haitink, who usually does the Concertgebouw Orchestra in the Netherlands. And Philips is the Dutch label imprint under Polygram. So, but the weird thing is this is an Italian pressing, which you wouldn't expect to be as good as the Dutch or German. And, it's all right. It's okay. It's not brilliant. Likewise, another one, Claudio Arrau, same guy, same orchestra, same conductor. Beethoven's 5th. I didn't even pay attention to what I bought. So I got Beethoven's 4th and 5th piano concertos by the same grouping, and they're both made in Italy, but they're both on Philips. So important pieces of music. You should have these in your collection, but not necessarily these versions. But whenever you see Philips or London or Deutsche Grammophon, they're usually really quality, shiny, jackets. And then they usually have plastic inner sleeves, and they're usually very good pressings. That is kind of it, but I'm going to give another shout out in case you missed it at the beginning to Yvonne Linz on Resonance Record. My Heart Speaks, coming out. I don't know if it's coming out on album. It might just be CD. But since they sent me a review copy, I'm giving it a double mention. The lush sounds of the great Brazilian Yvonne Linz. And guys, that's 17 minutes on records that are, there's some good stuff in there, but it's, I overbought again. That means I have to store this stuff somewhere or get rid of it. So thanks for watching anyway. Talk to you later.